Okay, so it's the 6th of January 2012, and we're in Warsaw. This is the arcade, if you like, going up to this big square, sort of Victory Square arrangement, where you've got the what used to be the Victoria, maybe still is the Victoria. On the left here, the hotel. You've got the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier shortly on the right, and there's supposed to be something happening today, but they didn't say on the news what the timing was. They just showed on the news what was there last year, that it'd be this year, but they didn't give any instance as to timing. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's all over, and I'd say that it was. Apart from anything else, you've got the rain, the light rain at the moment. Hopefully stays that way, or clears up altogether. It's a Sofitel, this one. Used to be called the Victoria. I can't see the word Victoria on it anymore. Anyway, there was a stage, and obviously things got done on it. What was it all about? Well, it was all about the three kings who were supposed to come on the 6th of January, which is now a public holiday in Poland, has been now for 3 years. This is the 3rd year. It was historically, before communism, a public holiday, and what they did 3 years ago is they changed the law so that they brought this holiday back, and they brought one or two other holidays back. And what they did was, as well, was they said on these holidays markets, supermarkets can't work, and hypermarkets can't work, so you've got to get your shopping in beforehand, so everybody can take part in it. There's always these funny parades done which finish ridiculously early, and so the Tomb of your Unknown Soldier, by the way, is across the way there. I'm sure I've done this many times, so anybody watches a lot of my stuff, they'll have seen this. I think that's Pilsudski, isn't it? Responsible really for keeping the Russians out of, or the Bolsheviks in any event, out of Europe, really, out of stopping them from getting to Germany and overturning Germany after the First World War. And if you want to know more about it, then read Warsaw 1920. He's a monumental hero, very underestimated, and what happened in Warsaw 1920 is very underestimated, its effect on the rest of European history for the rest of the century. Everything fits together like a jigsaw, and if it wasn't for that particular episode, then with that guy there, or at least the guy whose statue it is, then things would have been very different. Anyway, what they did was, going back to the overall theme, was they took away the. By the way, this Hotel Europejski still shows its old name here at the front, but isn't actually a hotel anymore. So they don't bother taking the name away. But there's no hotel there. Most Warsaw people would know that there wasn't a hotel here, and we want to go inside it. Georgie, you're pulling me in there. As you see, it's closed because it's now only offices. If it was a hotel, of course, it would be open today. But because it's only offices, they're all closed and the thing isn't opening. So anyway, we're going back onto the main square, as it were. The main, not square, but thoroughfare through to the old town, the old Tract Królewski, or Royal Alimentary Tract. What they did with regards to holidays is that they added various holidays, including Three Kings. They said that shops were supposed to take it seriously, and they also said that the old rule whereby if one of these holidays fell on a Saturday or Sunday, you just simply would take the holiday that was missing on the Friday or the Monday next to it. That got taken away, that law got taken away, although it's been challenged by Solidarność, and that something got taken away. It was supposed to be fair exchange, no robbery, because those new holidays were timed so that they would be on years when the others weren't, and some years you'd get both. So in fact there was more, over a 7-year cycle, although most of the time it's a 6-year cycle, but leap years like this one get in the way. But over a let's say an average of a 7-year cycle, you would get a net benefit for the ordinary worker, a net disbenefit for the employer, of course, and employers were vocal about how they didn't appreciate government interference in how they manage their profits and manage their people, and that, as far as they're concerned, that this was just unwarranted interference by government in the way they were free to run their businesses, and what had already been agreed between them and their employees long ago. However, the employees, at least those part of the Solidarity trade union that represent them, that they were of a completely different opinion, and they said that, as far as they were concerned, something had been taken away, they wanted it back. So they want their cake and eat it as well. So the way it will probably end up is that we have to honour the Thursdays or the Fridays and the Mondays when statutory holidays fall on weekends, and then again we will have the situation where you still have to have the 6th of January as a holiday, because now that they've given that, they'll find it hard to take it away again. Anyhow, it comes from the idea, the Catholic Christian calendar, Epiphany, the showing of Jesus Christ to the Magi. So you've got the idea of the Magi coming now on the 12th day. Presumably he was circumcised on the 8th day, as a Jewish person would be. Sorry if that shocks you, but Jesus Christ was Jewish, and probably remains that way. If anybody would like to know. So that's why people sometimes go along in crowns today, because it's actually celebrating the three wise men, called three wise men, who became the three kings and got given the names Caspar, Melchior and Balthazar or something. And people behave in a certain way. People go visiting and inscribe K and M and B on the doors of people that they go visiting on this particular day. So what are you looking at that TV for? It's not something to be looking at, George. Give me a hand, You're starting to misbehave a little bit. I need to know that you're going to give me your hand, okay? George, give me your hand. There's a good chap. Thank you. And so that's what it's all about. And so there's been a lot of traditional Catholic activity around the 6th of January. There are, of course, plenty of Christians who know that this is Epiphany, I suppose, but don't let it really get to them a lot. Any kind of non-conformist Protestants or what have you probably don't really celebrate much throughout the world on this day. Orthodox, of course, have an Epiphany day, but it's 12 days later because of their being on the old calendar. So, but there's still, that leaves probably about half of people that would call themselves Christians on the face of the earth to whom this day is meaningful. And I don't really want to upset their apple cart, but of course the first idea of Twelfth Night, where Twelfth Night originally comes from, is back in pagan days. You had there were two 12-day feasts of Bacchanalia. One was at the midsummer day that also had 12 days of mucking about, and then the other was at the you're pulling me off in a different direction, are you? I just want to show the viewers the lovely dragons here. Look, Georgie, look, there's lovely dragons over there. Oh, what are you doing pulling me away? Look, you want to pull me right under the... You would like to pull me straight under the bus, wouldn't you? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but I can't deal with this. Okay, we'll let you go where you want to go. I don't know why you want to go here. Do you want to go to the Presidential Palace again where you were sick last time when you were on that summer course? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, sorry to tell you this, but because my son is a special boy, as in autistic, he gets all these lovely privileges, like going to meet the President, Mr. Komorowski, and he was sick all over his carpet, which is not a nice thing after he was kind enough to let him go and see. I mean, I don't hold with Mr. Komorowski's politics too much, but still I have to grant the fact that he was kind enough to allow these poor children to go and see him and lay on a lovely big feast for them. And what George did was just downright ungrateful. You shouldn't do that to your political opponents, George. It's just there's one way of doing politics and there's another way of doing politics, and your way was just below the belt. So anyway, we're coming to the point where you're behaving in a funny way, George. It usually happens after about half an hour or so of walking about on these walks that he starts to get a bit more restless and starts to want to show a bit of willfulness. I don't know what this thing is, this thing in the middle here, because it's fairly new. They've just added it up with these blocks of marble, and what exactly is in there I really don't know. Some kind of cafe? Don't know why they stuck that there in the middle of the space. Did they think there was too much space for people? I don't know. So there you have it. Today's a holiday, public holiday, a new one, a new Catholic one. Not everybody's cup of tea, but still everybody likes to have a day off work. My clients that are of course in other countries that don't have 6th of January, which is the case for most people, are okay. Russians okay with it because that's when they have Christmas. It's actually Christmas in Russia now, so they have the day off. But most of the West, they're still writing me emails, which I'll have to catch up with on Monday if I don't succumb to the temptation of going on there later on today, which will probably get me wrong with my wife if I do. But certainly I had no excuse but to take this chappie to try and see whatever celebrations there were. What are you doing? Why do you want to go down there, for goodness sakes? Oh dear. What do you want to go down there for? This is no way to go down. Well, if you want to do it, you can do it, George. It doesn't bother me where you go. If you're interested in going down here, fair enough. All I want is a walk, you know. All I want is a bit of a walk so that I can lose weight. That's all I want out of this, and a film for my viewers, maybe. As long as I can get that, then okay. So, we come down here. This is called Ulica Bednarska. Now, Bednarz, is a guy that makes barrels like a cooper. So this is Cooper Street. Right, we're changing it on again, are we? Okay. There's pierogi and naleśniki, which are pierogi are like little pies and naleśniki are pancakes. So they're something which I still will eat a little bit, even on the vegan diet, even though I'm not supposed to be having too much by way of processed. This is annoying me the way you're keeping on changing hands, because I never see where you are, George, and I need to keep good control of you, especially if cars are nearby. So I think you're playing up a little bit, to be honest, aren't you? Playing up a little bit. This wasn't the direction I was actually going to go back home, because this is in the opposite way. I did have plans to go through the old town and then go cut back towards the way home, but I mean this is the opposite way, but he chose it and he pulled me down here, so what can one do? One has to go with the flow to a degree, and then I've got still strength to pull him away when something like a car comes and he wants to go underneath it. So there we are. I've now been vegetarian and as far as it's been practically possible vegan for 10 weeks and 5 days. So that's 75, that's 3/4 of the way to the first 100. So far seems to be doing me a lot of good. I don't think you'll have heard as much huffing and puffing on this one as you'll have heard in some of the earlier films. Certainly when listening back to some films I was taking about a year ago and walking around with the camera, you can hear me puffing and panting the whole time. And there's hopefully a bit less of that going on. Anyhow, I may as well turn it off. I've now run out of things to say. But you can see that this is still part of the old town. You've still got that lovely mural over there. Now, George, what are you mucking about at now? Please. Where do you think you're going to go to? I may have to simply... Well, let's go over here. Start at least going back in the right direction, shall we? At least it can be nice and parky down here, like parklandish, as we walk along this part. So it's not necessarily the worst thing that he chose. And we'll find some way, when we've done so much that he can't take it anymore. Last one I did with him before I went off to Britain this week. The last one I did, which I think was Sunday, 5 days ago, yeah. We got to 6.5 kilometres, and that was a little bit too much for him. So 6 would be fine, and 6.5 a bit too much. And I've got my jolly belt on, so that will that has a pedometer which will show how far we've gone, and that will be something which can enable me to try and time it so that after 6 we're pretty much home. No point in pressuring him to want longer and longer and longer walks, because it's not always time or weather for it. Is there, mate? Okay. So the escarpment is up there, and the Vistula would be running along there, but you can't see it from here. This is sort of halfway between the two. Theoretically this could get flooded, but you'd need to have had an amazing amount of water coming up the Vistula, and we'd know all about it well before it happened. So far there's been some pretty bad floods in the time I've lived in Poland, but this has not been covered yet. I don't know what kind of dog that is. It may be like an Afghan or something. Or like a kind of fluffy greyhound or something like that. Anyway, probably enough, isn't it? Thanks for watching.